Okay.
Your slides are visible, sir.
Okay. So I can put full screen, this one, slideshow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So welcome and good afternoon to everyone here. So my presentation is on identification of potential physiological and biochemical stress indicators during thermal stress and its recovery in synthetic prolific and native non-prolific ramps. It is in our semi-arid region in Rajasthan. So prolific, once I am from ICR Central Sheep and Food Research Institute, presently working as principal scientist at arid region campus, Bikaner. So that is the arid region. So briefly I will give you just a background of what a prolific ram is and what a non-prolific ram is. So the sheep rams which are having the introgression of this fecundity brula gene, which is responsible for causing more than one fetus or more than one lamb during lambing. So that gene is responsible to cause more than one lamb lambing, multiple lambings in the sheep. So when it is in homozygous condition, it is called as FecB superscript as BB it is written for brula, and FecB that is homozygous non-carrier of brula gene. That is our the native adapted sheep, which is Malpura. So we developed this breed, Vishan we call it, and it is now having a fecundity or say prolification of around 1.7, 1.8. So that means if it is 2, it is 100%. That is more than 2 we are getting out of 100. Say it is there, all are giving. So accordingly we can see 1.7 means at least 80-90 they are giving more than 2 lambs. So in this the composition is the gene of Carol, which is actually the homozygous carrier. Patanwadi and Malpura, these are actually non-carriers. Patanwadi from Gujarat, Malpura from Rajasthan. But to give a higher body weight, it has a very low stature, low height and low body weight, but these are having a high body weight and this has a more of milk. So to give more of milk, and this one, here you can see this is the Malpura ram and this is the Amishan ram with more than some 3 or 4 twins lambs are there. And this is the Amishan ram, Patanwadi ram, and this you can see the Garol, native of West Bengal, very short stature. So to make these lambs have more milk and more higher body weight, we have crossed with these two, Patanwadi and this Malpura with this one. So after this introgression, there is always a chance that there is a adaptability issue to the climate of the arid region. And so how to see that? So we compared both this native lamb and this one, Vishan rams, and we try to expose them to heat stress, extreme heat stress for 4 hours from 10 o'clock in the climate chamber to 2 o'clock, to 2 p.m. Followed by a recovery period because it was in the winter, so we shifted the animals after 4 hours back to the semi-open sheds where these animals were exposed to thermoneutral climate it was, except during early morning or 2 a.m. in the morning, the temperature was low. And we can see here. All these parameters we have recorded, and these were the times where we took all the observations, even we had taken blood and some work is also done. So here we can see how the temperature was. Say Malpura and Vishan, 2 different days we had done. Because 8 animals here we cannot take so much rigorous samplings every 4 hours and 2 hours 1 hour. So 2 different days, but just nearby, 1 day after. So you can see this is the dry bulb, this is the wet bulb temperature, and this was the RH. But from 11 p.m. because 10 a.m. before putting the rams in the climate chamber, we took the recordings, and then after that, every 1 hour we took the recordings up to 2 p.m. So that now here the temperature was 49, wet bulb was 30 degrees centigrade, humidity was 25, and here this is the THI thermal temperature humidity index, which is for sheep calculated by this equation. So it categorizes whether the rams were actually exposed to very high stress or they were to a normal stress or what it was. The condition was extremely stressful But here these are green shaded, no? These PHIs show that these animals were under comfortable zone. Here you can see very well if it is less than 22, it is absence of stress, but 25.6 and above, there is extreme stress. But these are the indices developed by all the European nations or in say temperate regions. And so this world over we are having only these indices, and we have conducted this one exercise, and there are several exercises conducted because these are not applicable to our animals. So it was one exercise in this field also, but primarily we wanted also to know whether how these ramps will perform. So if you see the respiration rate, this yellow is the Avishan and this is the Malpura. Here we see the rise in the respiration rate is very high in Avishan ramps, the synthetic ramps. It is almost 180 and so mean. And here the star shows that with the respective values here it is significantly higher. But okay, of course, when they were shifted back to the thermoneutral climate, it has declined. So this declining back means okay, it has come back to normal means yes, the plasticity is there and the animal is able to thermoregulate plus also recover. So not much issue that yes, they were performing, they were able to adjust, but within their limits. Okay. So similarly, we could see the pulse rate also. This also increased during the stressful period. But pulse rate is not a very good indicator of stress. In very extreme stress also we are not observing much difference even through the normal, except the fever. So thermal, this rectal temperature when we saw that was also higher in case, significantly higher in case of the Avishan. Okay, of course the recovery was also not as good as seen in Malpura. So there is some kind of issue there. So we wanted to then see what was the difference in the wool and the skin temperature. Because when the animals are in cold outside, animals are in chamber heat outside, what the wool is playing a role. The woolly fleece, it is about 1 inch or so, the thickness. Then how much protection or the thermoregulatory mechanism it helps, it contributes. So here we have seen the temperature of the wool surface temperature, and this is the skin surface temperature. But what we want to show here is, that was in Malpura, this is in Vijay. Here what we have seen is, what was the difference? That is, from the wool to skin, the difference was how much? If it is in the morning, when the temperature is very low, then we find that this difference is very high, about 14 degrees centigrade. But 49 means the skin temperature is high. Here we see, in the cold, wool is able to maintain a higher skin temperature. Then when the heat stress is there, slowly we find that yes, the wool temperature remains but the skin temperature declines. So this is one mechanism that wool forms a barrier, some kind of insulation, a barrier it forms, and that helps in actually regulating the body core temperature through regulating the skin temperature. In both the breeds, there was not much any significant difference between the breeds, but yes, of course, when the time period was taken into consideration, there were significant differences. So when we saw the hormones, what was the difference in the hormones? So as we all know, cortisol is a very prominent and also a good reliable marker of stress. Everywhere we know, and this is a generalized marker of stress. We wanted to study this, and there was a difference in Avishan and in Malpura. And this difference was huge because here around 150 and above nanomoles, and here starting around more than 30. But here it did not show anything. So there was some difference when they were exposed to this one. Some kind of difference is there. When we saw here how the difference is actually, we see here in Malpura, yes, increase is there, decline is also there. But if you see in Avishan, there is a constant increase. But this basal level is, the amplitude itself is very low. Now we are now trying to do this again through more precise systems, so that we can confirm whether it is like this only. Then the other thing is the triiodothyronine T3 hormone. So that is also a stress indicator many times used for identifying whether the animal is in stress or not. It is a metabolic hormone and plays several roles. So here we see that in Malbra it was very stable until last when the 4 hours of stress was there, then only it increased. And this increase was fluctuating thereafter until next day morning. This was a different behavior. And when we see in Avishan ramps, the increase was very abrupt. It was not here very low in Malpura, native. But in the synthetic ones, the increase is there, gradually, and higher increase is there, and then decline also. So it is utilized, and then the once utilized for stress combat, then again we see that yes, there is no more T3 hormone available. So this is a difference. Similarly, the precursor of T3, the T4, that we see here in case of the Malbra, it is declining because here it should get converted to T3 and utilized for the stress combat. Here what we see here, after 1 to 2 hours and then 3 hours and 4 hours, it is having a higher, lower values because it gets converted to T3. Afterwards, it is in recovery phase. Up and down is there. But here in case of the Avishan, we are not able to see any such trend. So there are some issues with this, we have to confirm again. Once breed is stabilized, that comes. Now another hormone, creatine kinase, these are also metabolic enzymes. This is a metabolic enzyme found in liver, kidney and various other organs, muscles. Primarily it is in muscles, then heart also. So when so much of stress is there, so much of respiration is increased, so much of exertion is there on the animal, panting is also there. Yes, this hormone, some muscular injury activity, some trauma type of effect is also there. Is that bringing any change? Yes, it is bringing a change. Yes, the increase is there. And in Malbra, as it is adapted one, it comes down. Here we see, in case of Avishan, a different picture is there. This is higher from here itself. That means there was more stress in this. The byproduct, the creatinine of that action of the creatine kinase, what we see here, there is an increase here. But afterwards, some decline is there. When the increase is there during the stress. But in case of Avishan ramps, we could not see this kind of result. But afterwards we saw, yes, there is a steady level. Then there was triglyceride. These are also mobilized during stress to be utilized for our energy purposes. But here we could see within the first 2 hours itself, this has increased. Mobilization has occurred in the first 2 hours itself. But when we see in Avishan, it is a very gradual and keeps on increasing. That is, it keeps mobilizing even up to night. After about 7 to 8 hours of recovery period also, it has been higher to provide energy to them. Then there are oxidative stress indices. That is a total oxidant status, a ratio of total oxidant status and total antioxidant status. So in this we see that in case of here during the stressful period, there is an increase, but it keeps, those slight down is there, but it remains until next day morning. But Avishan, when we see, there is a very different picture. This is very higher also, and at 4 hours after that also it is higher only, it has not declined. So this OSI is a ratio of this TOS, but we see here TOS, the end in Malbra and Avishan. See here TOS, oxidant status is too high after the stress is over. And at the last hour of stress, very high oxidant stress, and then remains high in case of Avishan. But if we see total antioxidant system, when we see the antioxidant system, it is declining. Yes, it will decline because antioxidant system, it is getting utilized, keeps on utilized. But here in case of Avishan, it starts getting depletion only after stress. Until then it was maintained. Afterwards it is depleted very. Then other hormone, other enzyme, that is lactate dehydrogenase enzyme. So this enzyme also plays a very important role. It is also in muscles, in heart also, and in liver also, and various other organs also. So if there is an injury, there is some kind of stress, these will leak into the blood system. What we could find yet, yes, there was a blow, but there was not such leak in case of Malmo. And here in case of Vishan also, there was a decrease. Okay, there was not much leak, but why this decrease has come, we don't know. Afterwards, here it has increased. So it is here also it has increased after the stress. We will see this. Other enzymes were the glutamic oxaloacetate transaminase, serum GOT, but here we could not find any trend. Generally we see, yes, if there is so much of stress, liver function, but it is primarily for the liver function, so we could not find any major impact on this one. But in case of Vishan also, there was not much. The other liver enzyme, this is specifically for liver. Here we find only at post-stress some change is there. But otherwise also in both Vishan and Malpura, there is a small, no trend is seen. So these enzymes are not much affected. So what we could conclude that, what markers we can, potential markers, which can be the potential markers out of this. We have seen a lot of literature, so many markers, these markers are being used and reported. Why should we spend when such a stress is there? We should only include those markers which are reliable. So we found that cortisol significantly changing, it is reliable, but there is a breed-wise basal change which needs to be seen again. T3 and T4, of which T3 can be used as a marker. This is a moderate marker. Then another is creatine kinase. Yes, this can be used as a reliable marker, but no other marker is so reliable as was this one. Except this OSI and total antioxidant system, these can be utilized as a marker, moderately reliable. And these are the hormones, except this creatine kinase, none is reliable. So what we have seen is the woolly fleece, physiological indices, of course, they are reliable. Woolly fleece, it facilitates excellent thermoregulation. There is a negative temperature gradient of around 4 degrees on the skin during extreme heat stress and a positive gradient of 14 degrees centigrade during extreme cold stress at the skin surface. And these I have already told, these can be used. But the most important finding that yes, this breed needs to further stabilize to the climate for which it has been developed. So this is all from my side, and thank you all very much. Were you able to hear me or?